Warning, keep calm and listen carefully. The Central Canadian authorities have prepared this emergency, nationwide broadcast to warn of a geological climate event which is tainting local water basins. If you are located within the Northern Territories, it is advised to immediately move south toward the safe checkpoints which are now present on all major highways. The safe checkpoints currently contain food, water, shelter, and reliable means of communication, should you need to contact loved ones. Move south immediately. Do not drink from any non-bottled water sources. Do not swim or come into physical contact with any local water source. Health authorities have informed the local provincial governments that drinking water may be contaminated. Currently, symptoms of contamination vary widely. Reports of nausea, vomiting, hallucinations, and dysentery have increased by 90% since the geological event began. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, please proceed to your nearest hospital. Interstate treatment facilities are being deployed along all arterial corridors. Their locations are updated in real time on the FINDTREATMENT website at www.findtreatment.com. If you see any ponds or basins which appear red, pink, or brown in color, contact your local authorities and notify them of the position. Latitude and longitudinal coordinates are preferred. These contaminated pools are reported as toxic to human life and may harbor disease. Information is currently limited. The Emergency Broadcast Authority will keep all citizens updated as the situation continues. Response units have been dispatched to the Northern Territories to attempt to neutralize these new toxic ponds. Remember, move south. It is spreading. Thank you for your attention. Stay updated. Warning, keep calm and listen carefully. The U.S. border is now open. Repeat, the border to the United States of America is now open, unilaterally. U.S. Border Patrol agents will not stop you. They will not ask for credentials. The Canadian authorities are currently working closely with northern U.S. states to house, protect and administer medical attention to fleeing Canadian citizens. U.S. armored divisions have received expeditionary rights from the Canadian government to occupy the country. Do not be afraid. The United States Armed Forces will respond to any aggressive actions with lethal force. All Canadian citizens must flee immediately. All flights from local airports or outgoing, ferries, cargo ships and cruise ships are currently accepting all refugees. Their destinations are to U.S. and open European ports. They will not return. You do not require a passport. You do not require identification. You must flee. In 24 hours, after the conclusion of this message, the Canadian and U.S. Air Force will mobilize. It will begin carpet bombing major contaminated sites. These contaminated sites currently account for 51% of Canada's total landmass. This number is growing. It is imperative you and your family flee south. Crisis shelters are currently active along all major border intersections. Armored checkpoints will require distant verification by your person or vehicle. If personnel are not given verification, they will open fire. Flash your headlights 3 times with a 1-second spacing between flashing, if in a vehicle, or raise your arms high above your head and approach slowly, if on foot. If you are fleeing, do not venture off the roads. Do not seek out any figures that you may see moving in the trees. These figures are not wildlife anymore. Do not hunt. You must flee. Do not engage with other fleeing individuals or families. Do not pick up hitchhikers. Your best chances for survival are to not communicate with anyone until you reach armed personnel. The Canadian government regrets to inform all citizens that due to overwhelming occupation, the control of the country is impossible to maintain. Intense bombing campaigns will begin in 24 hours to slow the advance of these entities. The U.S. and Canadian armed forces can only provide significant resistance and protection at the border. Until you cross it, your safety is not guaranteed. The U.S. and Canadian Navy abroad are currently sailing towards the coasts to provide relief efforts and shore bombardment. If you see any water that is red in color, flee the area immediately. Leave everything behind. You must exit the area. Note the time that you made visual contact with any red-hued water. It is believed the toxic fumes that red water exudes cause confusion and amnesiac effects. Checking the time every 15 minutes can help alleviate the symptoms. The local authorities will not respond to any calls. Internet access in major urban centers is fluctuating and will diminish soon. Follow the advice of your municipal governments. Seek to exit the country any way you can. Underground shelter is not a viable means to escape. Red water has been reported to seep through subterranean structures, amplifying its effects. What was thought to be a geological buildup of minerals and metals in Canada's water reserves is now believed to be an unnatural occurrence. Unfortunately, information is still limited, and US and Canadian intelligence is working hard to bring the latest news to all relevant citizens. Other nations' governments have been put on high alert. Flee south, flee south, flee south. The US border is now open.
Nuclear response authorized. The Meteorological Agency has informed the U.S. government that natural evaporation has collected red water into the atmosphere and propagated it over the planet. 98 countries are contaminated. Red clouds are now dispensing contaminants over the Earth. Do not swim. Do not drink from non-bottled water. World oceans contaminated. Nuclear response authorized. Shoot on sight orders given to all relevant military units. Enemy combatants are utilizing a combination of biological and synthetic warfare. The Canadian government has collapsed. This emergency broadcast is provided by the United States government. Enemy combatants cannot be described accurately. Thousands of reports, videos and photographs all display different features and capabilities. Currently, these are the factors that all red water entities have in common. 1. Hostility. 2. Nonverbal. 3. Propagated by red water. Red water has now been reclassified from a toxic, liquid contaminant to an enemy invasion force. Estimated fatalities range from 40 million to 65 million dead in North America. Timers are now irrelevant. The U.S. government cannot give an accurate time to when it will detonate nuclear airburst warheads over Canada. Red water is not hallucinogenic. It is not toxic. It does not cause amnesia. It is imperative you recall the time you encountered it, to the time you fled from it. This broadcast may or may not be relevant to you. It is possible this broadcast is outdated or will be relevant to you very soon. You must find high-altitude areas, either mountains, hills or preferably tall structures classified as skyscrapers or high-rises. Proceed to the highest point of these formations, natural or artificial. Government centers are now being maintained at the tips of these structures. High-density urban dwellings are preferred, as they provide natural shielding from the effects of red rain and are hardened against red water incursions. All desert-based towns and cities are now accepting refugees. Make your way to them. Deserts, arid locales and high-density urban buildings are all that will survive. Red water is now uncontainable. It has seeped into the world's oceans and government agencies have reported that, at current rate of expansion, in 4 months the world's oceans will be red water. It is unknown if the substance destroys or converts normal H20. Purification techniques are being experimented with. None have been found. It is unknown what forces an ocean of red water will produce. It is imperative you find high-density dwelling. Barren landscapes with limited rainfall are highly desirable. Underground shelters are ill-advised. They are prone to leakage and flooding. Trapped with red water underground will result in death. A breakdown of territorial control is occurring. Soon world governments will be isolated to a few select settlements. Please, save yourself. The spread will only continue. Do not drink red water under any circumstance. Do not attempt to drain or remove it. Do not drain or remove red water from its location. Nuclear bombardment of North Canada and Upper U.S. is imminent. It is hoped the effects of ionizing radiation will neutralize the contamination and entities. If this is proven to be true, the U.S. government will target its full arsenal over North America and requesting countries. Understand, if this comes to pass, an announcement educating you on the effects of fallout and radiation will be broadcasted. If you are present within areas contaminated severely by red water, current maps will be outdated. Roads may not take you to where you intended to go. GPS positioning units will not function. It is recommended to follow sources of light pollution from still functioning cities or constellations in the night sky. Thank you very much.